Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the Vision Train. We are live now. Today is Tuesday.
Hello, Marina.
Well, sorry, I was just hearing my voice. I'm sorry, my friends. We just had some lag here. So today's Tuesday, the 30. Oh, sorry, my friends. English is not my first language. I'm Marina Zion Rebels, tuning in from Brazil, here on the Vision Train. We are here in this non-stop global art jam together with artists from all over the globe, my friends. We have Sannie, we have Amanda Sage, we have Brittany, Shannon, Brian, Suribel, Laura, Scott, Masha, Nina, and Angeline with us here in the house. We are gathered here today to enjoy this 2 hours interview with our guest friend, Sannie Cuddihy. Sorry.
Cuddihy.
Oh, it's Cuddihy. Yay. So good. Yay. Thank you. And we are gathered here on the Vision Train in Focus, this podcast that is dedicated to shining the lights on the artists that we have here on this amazing community created by the one and only Amanda Sage. Can we have a choo-choo for her?
Choo-choo!
Yay, Amanda, thank you so much for creating this, and thank you for being here and co-hosting with me in this amazing project. It's an honor to be here with you all, my friends. I really enjoy this moment, and I really enjoy having the possibility to show everyone, like literally everyone that has connection on the internet. You just go on YouTube, type there, Vision Train, and you have this amount of videos about this community and what this community do. Since we have more than 4 years running this non-stop global art jam online, and that is so much that's happened here, and it's an honor to be able to show some of the life and story and all the goodness and also all the overcomes of life that each of us passed in our life, and all this that lead us to this moment here and now, that we are able to share our time, our knowledge, our experience with everyone here. So thank you very much for everyone that joins here. I hope you guys have a really nice time. I want to invite our dear friend Amanda Sage, the co-host of this trip, to the stage. Amanda, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thanks for putting this together. You know, this community has been such a resource for inspiration and experimentation. The past we're over 4 years now, and it's the real nutrients and essence of this are the individuals, the artists, the people coming in from all of their different backgrounds and whatever they are holding that they have skills in or are looking to develop skills. This is a good place to connect with others. And the more that we can learn about each other, the more we can also have more empathy and compassion. And remember that we're not alone. So often the artist's story can be something that we show a lot of the highlights, right? And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of Sannie's highlights today, but there's so much that goes into these creations that comes from so many different directions. And if we don't sit down and listen to each other, we'll never know. And they can really help reflect maybe some things about our own lives. So I'm really grateful for the initiative that Marina has taken to spotlight different artists and people of this community, so that we can have better understanding, and maybe find more ways that we could connect with them in the future. So for all of you in the future listening in now, I'm excited to learn some things about Sannie and what has drawn her to become the artist that she is today, artist and human being in the present. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for this introduction, and very excited as well. Sannie, how are you?
I am very nervous all of a sudden, but here I am. I'm prepared, and nerves are normal, I think, when you love something. So, yeah.
Yes, but like I said, the most important thing you already did. You already lived, you already experienced it all. And
Exactly.
now you're here just to share this amount of goodness and all of this background that you have that led you to here. Thank you for accepting this invitation. And yeah, I'm really excited for what you are bringing for us today.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be asked, and what a trip it's been, just diving into my past and my life and my art journey. So before we start, I'd just like to welcome all of you and welcome those that have come from the north of me, from the east, from the south, from the west. And as we stand on Mother Earth, underneath Father Sky, I put my hand on my heart and I give thanks for this moment. I give thanks for all of you, and I give thanks for this opportunity. And so it is. Let us begin. I'm just going to share my screen. And before I share my screen, I don't have much. I grew up in Ireland, as you might know, but I don't have much from my past, from from my teenage years, from my childhood. I have no art from them. However, I was always an artist. I was always painting and drawing and writing, and but my journey to being an artist, here we are. Oh no, that's the wrong one. I'm going to stop that there. Sorry now. How did that happen? Back to the beginning. There we go. Sorry about that. Sure, there had to be a technical issue, didn't there? Okay. So here I am, and my artistic self started in San Francisco. I moved to San Francisco in 2001, and I lived there until 2009. And while I was there, just living in San Francisco, I was exposed to the Burning Man community, and it opened my mind, and that's where my inner artist started to flourish and grow. The burner community is the reason I am who I am and why I live the life I live and the life that I have. I am so grateful to the community that I met there, that saw the artist in me and offered to teach me many, many things. And the type of person that I am, I jump in. I love to learn. I love to experience new things. Because life is for living. And, there's enough people that, pass away young, that don't have the opportunity. So I take all the opportunities that I can get. Up here in the corner, here I am laying electrical wires underneath the dirt for Opulent Temple. Here I am driving a loader. Here I am in the Thunderdome kicking ass. And here I am painting a mural on the VJ booth. And this down here is the Opulent Temple stage. And I helped to make this by learning to weld 1 year, just because they needed welders. They didn't have enough. And I said, well, I'd love to do it, but I don't know how. So they said, we'll teach you. And so they did. And then we created these type of parties. So that was just the beginning of becoming who I am, being the creative. Other things that I did in San Francisco, I not started my spiritual journey, but really came into my own with it, moving away from Ireland and a Catholic upbringing and being surrounded by people that go to mass and stuff. That was never me. In 2004 to 2008, I did meditation studies with Nestor Perez, a meditation teacher. I was also part of a Taoist Wicca circle with High Priestess Susie Peltier. I volunteered with a non-profit children's group called Fagaboom, and we went into schools on with the Boys and Girls Club and taught art and music and costume making and performing, and that was a beautiful thing to do, working with children from disadvantaged areas. In 2005, I was studied Reiki 1. In 2008, I did my Reiki 2 attunement and training. And in 2003, I started my fire dancing training at the Temple of Poi in San Francisco. When I went to Burning Man in 2002, I was blown away by the fire dancers. And in 2003, I went back and I left Burning Man saying, not only will I learn how to fire dance this year, or sorry, 2002, I said, not only will I learn how to fire dance this year, but next year I will be in the Great Circle of Fire. And so it was. In 2004 to 2007, I performed in part of the Fire Conclave at Burning Man. I also performed with a group called Think 13 that my cousin and her friend started. It was theatre, rock, spiritual messages, and just costumes and stuff. The other thing was then, because I was going to Burning Man every year, the first year I went, the costumes were so expensive in San Francisco. I was like, I can't be doing that. So I sought out a seamstress and I asked her to show me how to sew. So I learned how to make my own costumes. And then not only did I make my own costumes, I made all my friends' costumes too. On a wing and a prayer, chance in my arm, just winging it. And it happens like that. That's the way I live. And I was part of Opulent Temple Burning Man camp from 2004 to 2008, which, as I said already, I learned how to weld, drive loaders. I worked in the bar, I volunteered, anything that was needed to be done, I did. And then in December, I had a great life in San Francisco, but that's a synopsis of my creative journey. In December 2000, the end of December, sorry, December 18, 2008, I moved home to be closer to my family. Here I am with my nanny. She was turning 90 and I was turning 35. We shared the same birthday and she was an artist as well. And when I was growing up, I lived with my nanny and granddad, and she would have taught me how to paint, embroider, knit, and she used to bring me to the Apostolic Society. It was an old women's church group that used to gather on a Thursday night, I think, in the church, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they would make clothes for what we were called back then, the little black babies in the, the foreign countries. It's not PC these days, but that's what we were told. They were making clothes for them. They were making priests' stoles and shawls and altar cloths and embroidering them. And they taught me how to do all of that. And this is my family, my dad, my brother, my sister, my mom, and my other sister. Unfortunately, after I moved home, 3 months after I got home, my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And so ensued a tough journey, watching her go through that and pass away 10 months later, 7 days after my birthday. She was an amazing woman, and I have a lovely family. I get on well with them all, but I'm the rainbow one. I'm the black sheep. I refuse to call it black sheep. I'm the rainbow sheep. And but it was so wonderful and lovely to be home for that, for to be with my mom in her end days. Yeah. And then that year, as well, as mommy was going through her illness, when I was moving home from San Francisco, I was a little worried because I had become this out there artist. I was surrounded by creative people, and I was able to be myself 100% all the time. And I come from a small town that is just not like that. There's a lot of begrudgery, there's a lot of, bitching and backbiting, and I still love my hometown. But when I moved home, this new centre had opened up called KCAT, Kilkenny Creative Arts and Theatre School, Arts and Study Centre, and it was all inclusive. People with different abilities would come together and learn all sorts of art modalities, from photography to life drawing, painting, crafts, all sorts. And you could be in a class as an adult with neurotypical needs, somebody with neurodiverse, physical disabilities, everybody. And it was the most wonderful thing. And they were having their 10-year anniversary. And my aunt told me to go down, and they were looking for somebody to help with fire sculpture. I was like, in Callan? Oh my God, yes, I'm in. So I went down and I met this lady here called Jean Conroy. And Jean, like myself, is a Capricorn. And I went into her office and I said, I'm here to volunteer. And she said, what can you do? And I said, what do you need? And she said, what can you do? And I said, what do you need? And she said, well, I need a volunteer coordinator. I need help with workshops. And she made a list. And I said, right, I'll be volunteer coordinator. I'll fire dance at the event, and I'll help with the fire drawing as well. And she's like, great. So we then created this whole big event where the whole town came together for this big spectacle. And like that, the whole community got involved, all inclusive. And people were face painted, there was costumes made, there was fire sculptures, and it was incredible. And I sat back and there was fireworks, and I sat back looking at this church down here. It's an old an old abbey that had been gifted to the community when the friars left, the monks left the town. And I was sitting back looking at it going, wow, this is a different Callan to when I had left. And I was so happy to be home. Here I am fire dancing. People were like, who was your one? Because they didn't know me. They hadn't seen me in nearly 9 years. So yeah, that was my reintroduction to my hometown. And then the following year, in 2010, it was decided that we'd have a festival, and it was called the Owen Ree Festival, which means Owen Ree is King's River, and the King's River runs through my hometown. And this year we got an art grant from the Kilkenny Arts Council, and I did a lantern making workshop with willow and paper. I did costume making workshop, fire dancing workshop, and prop making. And here I am with some of the girls that I costumed and some paper lanterns. Here I am. We made Burning Man bikes for some of the kids, like, bring us your bikes. And we helped them make them into beings, and it was so fun. And that day, I think it was 2010, we closed off the street and just had a wonderful spectacle of color and diversity, and just, it was amazing. It was very hard to pick pictures. There's so many. And I loved that I was in my hometown doing all this, and each one teach one, you know, from the Burning Man philosophy. I was told that over there. I was bringing a bit of Burning Man into Callan, and I think that was just magic. Then I went to fashion design and accessories course in college, a 2-year course. And on that, the modules I learned were pattern making, garment construction, drawing, ceramics, combined materials, communication, and design skills. And it all culminated with a fashion show and craft exhibition at the end of the 2 years. And I got some of my friends who've never modeled before, I convinced to be my models, and they did. This girl here, Emma, is one of my best friends. She was one of the first friends that I made when I came home to Callan. And this here is a ceramic corset that she didn't see. She knew she was going to be wearing a corset, but she didn't know that it was ceramic until the day, because I knew she'd freak out. And that she did. But she got through it, and we stuck it onto her, and she rocked the runway. And it was such a fun experience to create my own clothing line. And yeah, that was the one and only, but I've done it. I've had a clothing line go down the runway. And I'm so grateful for Emma's friendship. She's such an amazing person. She's one of those women as well that jumps at the opportunity to do wild things, or things outside the norm that you wouldn't do on a normal day. Here's some of my older artwork from back in the day. These are some of the ceramic sculptures that I made on that course. I love this woman. I still have her here beside me, and the Dias de los Muertos sugar skull top hats, an ode to that part. I loved that parade in San Francisco every year. I know it's Mexican, but I loved that in San Francisco. Back in the day, I would have painted a lot of fairies. They are an integral part of Irish mythology, and I just loved them. This painting is called I Am, because back then I thought it was a queen fairy. I probably still am, but you know. And here we have some land art. I love nature art. Everything I do is art, to be honest. I work with stones, and I make chakra stone sets, and the pouches to go with them. No two set are the same. And here I am. I do murals as well. And I did this one in honor of one of the person who commissioned me. It was to honor her cat that had passed away, and his ashes lay at rest underneath it in a box. Yeah. And then in 2012, I met the love of my life, Paul Daly, a Scottish man who moved to Ireland the year I moved to San Francisco. And I fell in love with all that he is. He's my being, he's my safe space, he's my safe person. And together with new friends, we created underground festivals, many art installations, and Paul became the Burning Man regional contact for Ireland for 4 years. So he's also a DJ, and we just clicked really instantly, but became friends. We weren't together for a few months, so we built a friendship through creating and making and gathering friends to create and make with us. So in 2012, I was the art coordinator and core organizer of Kilbree Rising Music and Art Festival, which me and Paul got together at the end of. There's an in. Then in 2012 and 13, art installations at the Irish Burners Decom, which was held in a castle here in Ireland. This here was Paul and I's first art installation together. I built the willow hut and he built a Rubens tube underneath, which is a metal tube with holes and gas runs through it, and then music plays and the fire dances to the music. And that was our first, and this is one of the first photos taken of us together. Then in 2014 to 2016, I was one of the lead coordinators of the Irish Burners Decoms and an art coordinator and core organizer of another festival called Scrobbernock Art and Music Festival. And then in 2017, we brought the Decom into a field and did a 2-day Irish Burner gathering. Here's some more of my installations. This here was the secrets service. It was where you walked into this little closed off area and you wrote out your secret and you put it into the box. And at the end of the night, or not at the end of the night, halfway through the night, I went in and I took the secrets and I hung them on a line so that your secrets get aired, but you wrote them anonymously. So nobody knew whose secret was who, but your secret was out and you could let it go. And then at the end of the night, I took all those secrets, I put them back in the box and I brought it home with me and I burnt them ritually. So to release the secrets. And that's the kind of art I like to make, art with intention. Up here, it's the time is now photo booth frame. Again, bring people together, let them know that the time is now, have fun, there was props, and just be silly. And down here, I made 3 or 4 of these, just mad abstract on MDF and just placed in different areas throughout the woods and the field where we had the Scrobbernock Festival. And here I am with my friend Emma again. I designed a massive mandala that was to be the side stages for side stage, the main stage of Eru, the Irish Decom in the field. Here it is in our garden because I brought it home. There's the Rubens tube and willow hut. And again, I started making the willow hut and I'd never made one before, but I knew I could do it. And I got people that were walking around saying, come and help me. And they're like, well, I've never done this before. And I'm like, well, I haven't either. Let's do it together. And then I have some of my oldest friends from making that willow hut. It's just, you start chatting and that's the way friendships are made. And here is a grandmother crone. She was placed in the castle as you walk in through the doors. Because at these gatherings, people drink too much, they take too much, and it can get messy. And this year I decided I would make the grandmother crone, our nannies. And when you walked in the castle, you couldn't see her, but she had your back. And then when you're coming back down the stairs to go back outside, you couldn't not but see her. And my intention was that when she looked at you, she'd be like, don't you take too much now. You mind yourself. And so just kind of, again, that minding people energy. And then this is an old style of mine, but again, quite meditative. And I called it tribal because I didn't know what else to call it, but always, always detailed, focusing on the line, getting it right. It had to be perfect. So hours and hours of making sure the black was opaque. And you can see here that the mandalas and the Zentangle come in. It's all animals. And this one here is Methuselah, I think the oldest tree in the world, and beings come out. I was looking at the tree as inspiration, but all these little beings come out when I do trees. Is it, what's the word? I can't remember. Yeah, I see beings in things. But my work was very 2D and or 1D, like one-dimensional. There's no depth to it at all. Like there's talent there, but there's no depth, is the way I would describe it. Then in 2014, our greatest creation ever came along. I have to have a slide to my daughter. Becoming parents was a big change, but we couldn't have been happier. Finding our way, continuing to be ourselves while also nurturing this new being was hard in the beginning. Inviting her to be wild and free and including her in the things we love to do was the only way forward. I took 3 years off work to be the best mama I could possibly be. And then, you know, because I like to make things hard for myself, I decided to take on a yoga teacher training from 2014 to 2015. 6 weeks after Katie was born, I started. 3 months after Katie was born, 6 weeks after Katie was born, my friend Jean Conroy, who helped me settle into Callan, passed away. So that was a very difficult time. I was a new mom. I just lost my new bestie, and I decided to do yoga teacher training because I don't do things by halves. Here is Katie down here helping me on that giant mandala as well. And here she is, loving life, paint yourself. And you can't see it, obviously, because I took the picture, but I'm as black and colorful as she is as well. And here she is, painting away, being the littlest artist. And this painting here is the first painting that she did and sold. She sold it to me for €5 and it hangs in our sitting room. I absolutely love it. I think it's the most incredible painting I've ever seen. I loved watching her. She was painting splish, splosh, and the noises when she was making it, it was wonderful and expressive. And I wanted her to experience life the way I like to experience it. And like that, my friend runs the Dublin Body Painting convention and she needed models. So we both went and we got painted. And she sat for 8 hours being patient while I was being painted to camouflage into the paper in the background. And after the 8 hours of being an absolute angel, she said, is it my turn? And the woman said, yes. She said, what do you want to be? And she goes, my mama. So here we are. Yeah. In 2018, I did Moon Mana facilitator training. Mana is women in Ireland. I learned to facilitate women's sacred moon circles, and I've been doing circles and retreats ever since. Here I am here with the Moon Mana facilitators at Ishnok, which is the centre of Ireland on the Bealtaine Festival. And this is one of the circles or retreats. And this is every year I have a Skyclad swim women's camp out, which is always a wonderful, a wonderful gathering. And in 2020, the world shut down and my world opened up. I found the Vision Train very shortly after it started and I loved what it was and I jumped right in. I took part in the Mushroom Magic 24-hour art jam and exhibition and became a conductor shortly after. Trip 1, 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Monday. And here we are. I think that's Natalie there. Jeet is there. I can't see the others. And this is Katie painting away. And I was working on this big, massive painting at the time. The last direct painting that I actually did. And here's my little Mushroom Magic painting on the train tracks that run right outside my window. And then Amanda Sage and Painting with Light happened. Getting to study with Amanda during her very first online 6-week intensive called Reflections 2020, which I won, changed my life and art, and I will be forever grateful for the gift. Like, you've no idea. The exhibitions I took part in were the Mushroom Magic, Transition, Frida, and Resonance. And this painting here is what I call my breakthrough piece. This is where my art took a very different direction because I had Amanda's teachings of how to layer and how to build up depth with going in with the whites and coming in with another color and just layering. And it was a game changer, an absolute game changer that I said it already, forever be grateful for. And next was Frida, exhibition. And this is my Frida first proper, first portrait ever, really. And here I had Frida done for a while and the background was just, what am I going to do? And I came to it and I did a meditation and I asked Frida, what would you do, Frida? And then I picked up my paintbrush and I started, and all of this background happened. There's layers and words and power words and faces and animals, and it's very Frida. Here, this is called Home because we're always at home around a fire and with your community. This was started as a live painting at another burn, Mayo burn, a burners gathering here in Ireland on a beach up in Mayo, County Mayo. I painted for 12 hours straight while the dancing and music was going on around me, and it was an amazing experience. And then this painting, I started one of Amanda's tutorials, Start Tetrahedron, and I brought in another love of mine is foraging. And these plants here are ones that I worked with the year that I painted this: plantain, wild rose, yarrow, clover and daisies. And then a collaboration with Joe Phillips, who is another Vision Train conductor who did Wednesday's Trip 1 in the beginning. And we just talked a lot and I suggested doing a collaboration. We've never met in person. He lives in Wales, I live in Ireland, but we created this piece of art together, sending it back and forth until it was completed. His little being here and his tree and the owl with my mandala in the background. And here we are on this is the Vision Train community standing in circle around an oak tree that on the, I think it was the first year anniversary, I did a shamanic ritual circle on the Vision Train, and Joe was a part of it, Mukta, Nikhil, I can't remember who else. And in it, we did a meditation on an oak sapling that I had and envisioning the light, and that as the oak tree grows, our practice grows and our business grows, and we continue to grow. So Joe painted that, his vision, into the painting. It's very special and I love it. And we donated it to the last raffle or auction, and it was sold to a man that owns a clinic in America somewhere. Then Daily Visions happened, which was another amazing initiative that Amanda started last year, and I never created so much art in my life. Each day for 6 months I created, and then I got out of the habit, and you know, it's kind of it comes in spurts now, but I still gravitate towards the practice, just not every day. Mandalas are huge part of my creative process. If I have a creative block, I turn to mandalas because they just flow out of me. I start in center, I set intention, and as I am creating, I am saying the intention over and over again. And I use a compass, but everything else is freehand. I don't grid the page, I don't grid the canvas or the board. It impedes my flow. And over the years, I've gotten to such a stage now that there's rarely a mistake, you know, but there are no mistakes in art. This one here was created for Katie. She commissioned me to do it with a specific, she wanted the fire element, she wanted the stag and doe, she wanted a mandala, and yeah, so that was for her, that I completed only last week. Then I can't remember, this was 2023, on the GPO, iconic building in Dublin, on the main street, O'Connell Street in Dublin. My goddess Bridget was projected onto the building as part of the Bridget's Day celebrations. She got her own bank holiday, her own day in Ireland, and there was just this big celebration with a lot of artists work dedicated to her being projected onto the building, and it was so surreal seeing my art on that building and being so huge. I was so proud of myself. And here it's had an exhibition with Barbara O'Mara and Dee Mulrooney. Unfortunately, Barbara passed away last year, a week before I went to COSM, and I miss her so much. She's another shamanic artist, a visionary artist, and her work was very profound, and she was an artivist, an activist as well. And it was an honor that I got to exhibit with her. And Dee Mulrooney is a badass artist. Highly recommend looking up Dee Mulrooney on Instagram. She just pulls no punches. She is a feminist and an artivist, and she channels, her work is channeled for sure. She's just incredible. And then I was on the telly. So there's a television show here called Super Garden. It's been going for, I think, 15 years. And in 2022, one of my friends, Amy, was on it. And a week before she was meant to finish, they threw her a loop and told her to get rid of something in the garden, that it didn't suit a super garden. And she rang me and asked, would I do an installation with the theme chrysalis? And I said, yeah, no problem. Oh my God, that's an amazing opportunity. Excellent. How long do I have? And she said 7 days. I'm what? So for 6 days, and that 7th day, it had to be in situ. So, okay. So for 7 days, I just rocked it, and late at night. And yeah, it was just such an honor to put a piece in a garden of an old lady who had moved into this house and had 13 grandchildren, and her house number was 13, and my favorite number is 13, and my lucky number is, it was just, everything came together for me and Amy, and it was amazing. And then dreams come true. Woohoo! Choo choo. Got to go to COSM. So honored. The Mistech Mystics, studying with Amanda and Joe Bob in person, meeting my vision train friends after 4 years of just talking and laughing and crying online in this lovely little space that we're in here. And being at Chapel of Sacred Mirrors and seeing Entheon sitting under this painting. Whew, it was just a trip. Getting a tour of Entheon with Alex and Alison and hearing them talk about their work. And I also, at the same time, I became a Medicine Spiral Shamanic Lineage graduate. So for the year preceding this, for all of 23, I was in a training for the Medicine Spiral, and so that was all kind of percolating inside me, in my heart, while I was at COSM, studying with Amanda, and that then culminated in my soul portrait that brought everything together. My light language that I love doing, I don't know what it says, I don't know where it comes from, but I have to do it. It won't leave me alone. It wants to be in every painting, and that's okay, because I love it. And here we have the women that come in circle with me, and we do the skyclad swims. And this is the ancestor. Oh, sorry. The ancestors. When a circle is open, it's said that the ancestors keep it open for us in the other realm. And this is the Shaman's Cosmos tree. It's where you sit before you go on a journey, and that has your back, or that's the way I like to see it. It has your back, so that when you go off on your journey, you will always have that at your back, and that's where you come back to. And the owl is one of my spirit animals, my power animals, and, you know, symbolizes wisdom as I step into cronehood as a 50-year-old in menopause. So this is really a life, a snapshot of my life before as I turned 50. And I'm so grateful that I got to create it with Amanda helping me and guiding me through the ups and downs and the emotional ups and downs of being there. You can see the lightning here. There was definitely lightning happening around, but not outside inside the body. And then next up is, in a couple of weeks, I am part of a group exhibition called Atelier Papier, which is happening in my hometown. So everything comes full circle. And that, my dears, is my presentation. Thank you for listening. And yeah, there you go. It's a lot. Will I stop the share?
Choo choo.
Choo choo.
Wow. That was so beautiful, Sannie. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, I see, Marina, I was hoping, you would jump in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sannie. I don't know how to say this, but the humility that I feel inside of me to be speaking to you and listening to you about your life and your story, it makes me even a bit emotional, because it's so wonderful to have this glimpse of each other's life and go into some stories that we would never reach in a normal conversation like we have here. But not that it's important to know, but it makes so much sense to know more about you and to relate to you when, after this presentation, after knowing all about it and seeing your character and seeing how you develop your art since whoa since way back then. It's amazing. It's incredible. It really, I'm truly emotional now. Thank you so much for sharing and giving us all these pieces of your life here, showing all
Thank you,
this to
Marina.
us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was definitely a trip to dive into photos and try and pull, like, I'm not proud of it, but I dropped 2 laptops and broke 2 hard drives. So there's a lot of photos that are missing from my younger years, and but that's okay. I had enough. I was getting into my head in the beginning, and then I'm like, just breathe. It's okay. You have enough. It's fine. And I do have enough, too much. There's one photo that I forgot, and I had it ready to go into its own little slide, and it was the one of me and Amanda standing in front of her Anna Soramai painting. It's one of those moments that I just touched my heart, to be standing not only with Amanda, but in front of that epic painting. I had no idea it was so big. And just to stand there in goddess pose with Amanda, with that painting, and just bring all that energy of badass women. As like I missed that photo, but that's okay. We're talking about it now. So yeah. There's loads of chat. I saw none of it.
Yes. I have one question to you that just popped up in my head when you say about Amanda and also about Cosma and Alex Gray, all these visionary artists. And I want to know, how was this connection from you? Did you know Amanda before the Vision Train? Did you know the visionary artists? How was this connection with this? Because you're always a painter, you're always a creative. So how was this?
I knew Alex Gray from Burning Man, and I knew from the Tool albums, and I knew Amanda from, I think, just Facebook, to be honest. I probably came across some of her work at Burning Man as well, but I'm not too sure. And I was following both for a while, and I even looked online before the world went tits up, and to see if I could study with Amanda somewhere. And it was just outside the realms financially for me. It was just not feasible. So then when the Vision Train happened, and it kind of came up in my feed a couple of times, and it piqued my interest. And then I jumped on one day, and then I jumped on the next day, and Joe was on, and Patty and Jeet, and like, it was just so welcoming, and the chat was easy. And then the mushroom jam happened, and like I said, I love doing things that bring me connection or bring others connection. And I was in awe of this Zoom room. I've never been experienced to Zoom before. Like, I had no concept of what Zoom was, but it became my life for the next 7-8 months before life returned to normal. And it just became a container of people teaching you things, chatting to people, and all sorts of all over the world. Australia, Hani in Iran, Trishna in India, Jean in, like, loads of people in the US and Canada, and just Marine, or yeah, it was just, and you were in Brazil, and Danny Love, and that's how I came to find Amanda, really. And so when I got as soon as it became apparent that they needed conductors to help keep this going, I was like, I'm absolutely helping this keep going, because this is going to be an outlet for so many people to continue to be connected and to actually have chats with people when they're isolated in their homes. I'll 100% I'll help keep that going any way I can. So yeah, that's the vision train to me. Yeah. Did that
Yes,
answer your question?
for sure. Because yes, the vision train is something else besides the culture of like these paintings and artists. The vision train helps to build this connection between all the communities, all the cultures. It's so diverse, right?
Yeah.
And it's so welcoming and so heartwarming, and the generosity of everyone here
Yeah.
and the talks we have. Yes, for sure, it answered my questions. Yes, I am curious to know, like, when you begin your artistic path way back then, what were your aspirations back then, and how do you see this development until today?
I'd be completely honest with you. My aspirations were just to have fun. Like, honestly, like going to Burning Man and just have fun while learning, and, you know, hanging out with cool people that want to teach you things, to build massive installations just for the sake of it. It was jaw-dropping, so inspiring, and I wanted to be a part of that. So when I was in San Francisco, it was all about the big bills and, you know, just having parties and meeting people and dancing and music and creating and just experiencing new things. That was what I aspired for, and to soak in as much as I could while I was there, because I knew I wouldn't be there forever. So that, and what do I aspire to now? Just to continue doing what I'm doing. It's the same thing, really. To pass on that inspiration, to be an inspiration to others, I think is good, is big. To create safe spaces for people to be themselves. And in regards to my own art, maybe putting myself out there a bit more, applying for group exhibitions and doing open call submissions, because I don't really, I've done a couple so far, and I got one that's coming up now in a couple of weeks, but doing more of that. That's where I'm at the moment, but I will always be creative. Everything I do is creative, you know. So yeah.
And how is the artistic movement, cultural movement there in Ireland? Because, well, we are all scattered around the world, and we hear more about the US culture, artists. So can you share more about how is this movement there in Ireland?
Well, it's actually really, thanks for that question. It's actually really wonderful, because for the longest time, the visionary community to me was out there in the world. We're here in this Zoom room, and, you know, everyone is out there. And I was trying to find visionary artists here in Ireland. And I found a woman called Maria Johnston, who is a visionary artist and a shamanic practitioner as well. And she has started a group called Vision Era. That Era is Ireland. It's the Gaelic for Ireland. And so she's gathering us here in Ireland now. And I met Shannon through that a couple of weeks ago. And Shannon and Maria are going to come to my party, and we're going to my 50th celebration in August, and we're going to live paint at that. And, you know, so she's trying to get those of us that are in this realm together here in Ireland. And in regards to other art, it's the same as other places. You know, art galleries, they have no interest in the likes of the art that we do. You know, they don't care that we're talented. If you didn't go to art college and you were, you know, they didn't break you down, then they don't want to know. So we're going to create it ourselves with Vision Era and each other.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. Because, yeah, even everywhere we have this cultural community of the visionary artists, for sure. And being together with them in real life, it's, yeah, it's enriching our day-to-day life even more, besides what we have here in the virtual world, for sure.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And about these, all these sacred gatherings that you are part of, and you are facilitator of, how this, how the calling came for you about it, and how do you feel it developing in your life, and making, I don't know, retreats or more gatherings or more art about it? How is that flow?
As I mentioned in my presentation, when I was in San Francisco, I was part of a Wiccan circle, and that was men and women, and I was part of that for 4 or 5 years, and it was really powerful, and I learned an awful lot about, you know, those kind of practices, magic and gods and goddesses, and things like that. And when I was coming home to Ireland, I was like, oh God, they're all Catholic back there, you know, because I hadn't really, before I left, I didn't know that there was a Druid community, or like, you know, Celtic pagan community, or, you know, I didn't know that aspect of Ireland at all from the way I was brought up. And about 2 years after I moved home, I went to a festival called the Spirit of Folk, which was in Dundee. And Dundee is a shamanic training centre in County Meath, which is near the centre. Again, a lot of power points and standing stones, and very magical land. When I stepped out of the car onto the land, I just went, it was, I'd never felt that anywhere before. And at this festival, there was all sorts of offerings, and there was one on the list called the Fairy Rites with Karen Ward of Moon Manal. And I was like, what is that? And I said, I asked my friend Ali, I said, will we go to this? And she said, yep. So we went, and this woman and there was 4 women, Karen Ward was the main one, and they opened up a circle, and there was about 100 people there, women, children, men, and it was all about the fairies and minding the land and being good people. And it just, at the end of it, we were all given drums and rattles, and they initiated us into these fairy rites. And after that, then we were given the drums and milk and oats, and we were marched around the festival site making noise, singing fairies, fairies, hiding in the trees, fairies, fairies, peeking out at me, good folk, wee folk, friends and allies true. Over and over, banging drums, singing it all through the festival like mad people. And I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is happening in Ireland. I want to be a part of it. Who is this woman, Karen Ward? So when I got home, I Googled her and found her and saw that she was doing a Moon Manal training, a facilitator training. And so I signed up and I did the training, and her trainings work with the Wheel of the Year, and each month has a goddess archetype. So in February, it's Bridget, which is springtime, new beginnings. And then we go into Grania, who is the young maiden. And then Anya is, you know, the mother, and so on throughout the year. And then you get to November and it's the crone. So it just cycles through the year, learning about the goddesses of Ireland, but also bringing yeah, the archetype of them into your teachings. So I did the training, and then I'm like, right, I have to do circles. So my friend and Ali, myself and Ali, did a couple together, and then I really wanted to step into being a facilitator of circles, and I wanted to go on a retreat. So I organized one, and I asked all my friends, and we rented a big house, and we didn't even charge anything. I was like, I did it under the Burning Man model. Let's create this retreat for ourselves, because we have chefs, we have yoga teachers, we have massage therapists, we have like all sorts of women in our group. And so we did, and I offered a circle at it, and I thought I made sure that you don't have to come into it, because I know it's not for everybody. You know, some people think it's witchy, but every one of the women came into that circle, and they all supported me in that. And I was so nervous, but we got through it, and we all set our intentions and spoke about what dreams we wanted to manifest for the year ahead. And as the year went on, women started to manifest those things that they had mentioned in circle. And so the next time I offered a retreat, everyone was like, yep, I'm coming. And so it continued, and it continues today. I had one just this weekend. I had the Skyclad swim this weekend, and we had a small group, 4 women, and it was just magical. And we sat and we spoke and laughed, and we did embroidery, we did intuitive painting, and just sat in circle, being supportive women to each other. I just use your voice. We're women. Stand up for yourself. Be strong. Say no. Like, these are the messages that I like to kind of talk about and impart on people. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Sannie. I salute you for being this person that facilitates these gatherings and have this power of acolher, of collecting these ideas and dreams and holding them in a sacred place.
Mm.
Yes, I salute you for this, because it's very precious. Like you say, the dreams were coming true. Dreams, yeah.
But dreams come true, but you have to work at them. They don't just fall in your lap. I hate that saying that all good things come to those that wait. They don't. Like, you have to do things to make them happen. So that's what I do,
Yes,
Yeah.
this is a way to put the yellow stones in front of you, just one by one. Yeah. Yeah, just one by one. And this lead me to the next question, because you're saying about the place that you live and the relation that you have with nature and the culture there, like this sacred culture from the goddess of Ireland. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, what a connection. So what led you to the place that you live in now, and how do you feel it's the relation of the place that you live in and the life that you live and the art that you create?
I live in a little old train station on the East Coast, right beside the sea. Like, literally outside my window here is a train track, and then it's the beach. And we live in the middle of nowhere. So the beach is our back garden, and then the front is wetlands. So there'll never be any buildings. It's just, and I can see the mountains, the Wicklow Mountains. And it's a very special place to live. It's down a long lane. We've no neighbors. And in wintertime, it's quite tough and desolate. The house was built in the 1800s, single glazed windows, no heating in the rooms, so we're hardy. Obviously, we have a little heater, but the house doesn't come with it. And I wouldn't live anywhere else. We like to host people, and we rent it. And we went through, when COVID hit, we were fighting our landlord to stay here. And he's a multi-millionaire. And I won't name names now because I'm online. But we fought and we went to court and we won. And we went to, he appealed it, we went to tribunal and we agreed to move out. I'm making a big, long story short, but we agreed to move out for 3 months so he could do this big, massive renovation. But we continued to pay our rent when we were out so that our lease wouldn't be, so our lease wouldn't be cut. And then COVID hit and he started, the builders never went in. We were meant to be out for 3 months. Anyway, COVID hit, nothing was getting done. We had to move out of our temporary accommodation. And I said to my husband, I was like, let's just move home. And we moved home back into the house. And then we told our landlord. And he wasn't happy. And he said we had to move out again. He wanted to do this work, blah, blah. And we knew he wasn't going to. And my anxiety came back because we were fighting one of he was selling his own house at the time for 20 million. So that's the kind of, and that's just one of them. So that's the kind that we were dealing with, and we haven't a pot to pee in. So I was anxious. I was like, oh, what are we going to do? And my husband was making dinner one day and I was standing in the doorway at the kitchen looking out onto the land. And I said, I'm really worried. Like, I'm so anxious. What is he going to do? And my husband looks at me and he's Scottish and he said in his gorgeous accent, sure, look at it like this. We're taking one of the richest men in the world to straightener without boxing the head off him. And I didn't have anything in my hands. And I went, you're right. And it was like a staff came into my hand and it was like all the ancestral people, Irish people of the land went, no, you're meant to be here because he's not from here. The land was stolen back in the day. And it was just this. And I was like, you're right. And I was just filled with ease. So that's the kind of land we live on. But at the same time, I was out in the garden singing Rise on Appalachia's song, Resilient, over and over, twirling, I've got my roots down, and just singing it with Katie like 10, 12, 14 times a day in the garden, in the car, just connecting to the land. So, and we won, and here we are. So fight your landlords, do it. Yeah.
Wow. Yes. All the best to be in the best place where you can feel like home.
Yeah. And that's the thing that kept us going. Like, this is our home. This is just a house to him. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the rent. He could literally gift us this house. I know that doesn't happen in reality. Like, I'm not that, I know that doesn't happen, but he's got properties all over the world. And this is not a home. I don't even know if he knows what a home is. Do you know that kind of wealth? Yeah. So anyway, here we are and here we'll stay.
Yay, creating a lot of art and a lot of sacred gatherings.
Sacred gatherings.
Yes.
Party gatherings. We host people. We host burners that randomly post on the Irish burner page. I'm coming to Ireland. Does anyone have a couch? Yep. That's just the way we are. And I think my mom was like that as well. And my dad, they got involved in community a lot. So I definitely got that from them. So, yeah. I didn't pick it up off the stones, as we say in Ireland.
That was definitely a question that I had for you, Sannie. I was feeling curious about the roots, because you started your presentation with going to San Francisco, and you mentioned your grandmother, being part of the access to introducing you to. She was an artist, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious of what parts of like your childhood or what influences maybe drove you towards your passions, or to believing that you could you could go towards them, having that, there's a lot of folks may have inspirations and passion, but don't have the support. I feel like you have a bunch of warrior spirits though, just in your, like, around you, and like maybe, you've reincarnated many times in a role of leadership even. Something to your essence in that, but I'm just curious what from your childhood, like you just gave a note to that, like with your parents being involved.
My parents, yeah, I kind of think about it often. Like, I've always been the woman that stood up for myself. Like, if there's if a guy, we've, as women, we've had guys do things to us, and I've always been the one. Like, I'll give one instance of a guy when I was a teenager dropped his pants in front of me, and I just stood there in front of him looking at him and his friends and looking down and up, and then I just turned to him and I said, I've seen bigger worms crawl out of apples, and walked off. And his friends were like, what the hell? And all my friends were like, oh my God. And I don't know where that came from. I don't remember my mom teaching me that kind of, I know I'm teaching Katie, but I don't have a memory of my mom teaching me those type of things. So I think maybe you're right. I have like this coming around ancestral support. I don't know. But my parents would have always been involved in, the variety concert and the community games, and Dad would have coached soccer, and Mom would have, my mother, now that you've asked, my mother would have always had a women's group on a Sunday afternoon, but they played cards. They didn't do circle, but they sat all the women together and the kids would be playing outside. So that, I suppose, is where that comes from. And they would have had parties in the house, not often, but they would go to parties and different kind of ones that I would like. But, as in, I don't know, they'd come home late at night and they'd be a little inebriated, but that's fine. I can't say I've never been. So no judgment. But yeah, I definitely think I have some traits from them, but yeah, I suppose now that I'm looking at it, a lot more than I may have thought. That's nice. Yeah, I was sad that I didn't have more time with my mom before she passed when I came home, and she was a cool woman.
And so when you went to San Francisco, what was the initial draw for you to go?
I followed my cousin and a boyfriend. Oh.
Okay. And you were like in your 20s?
No. Oh, yes, sorry. I was 27, I think. 27 and 27, going on 27, and I was 35 when 34, almost 35 when I left. So 8 years I was there. Yeah. I went for a holiday. Never came home for it. I never came home for 8 years. I never left the country. But I went on many adventures. I was in Sedona and went whitewater rafting down Cataract Canyon with a mad group of Idahoans, and I fire danced at Gay Pride on a stage in front of 5,000 people. Like, I just made San Francisco an incredible experience. I'm so happy I was there when I was there, but I wouldn't go back now. I've been back a couple of times, but I mean, to live there, I'm so happy that I came home when I came home, because I have the life that I have here. Yeah, but it's all connected.
It's all connected, and there's different times in our lives, right? When we're, when it's appropriate. I mean, I'm going through a phase myself right now with, having lived also, like, I feel a very similar kind of storyline in some ways with you, with going away from home and, then kind of coming back to, and there being, being the rainbow sheep, though I call my parents kind of the rainbow sheep of their families in some ways. And,
yeah.
But it's interesting, this coming
Yeah.
home, and you talking to coming home and having, from being at home. I love the questions that Marina asked also around your involvement and finding kind of the others there, and which I think is a big kind of part of the story too, with Burning Man, going and discovering Burning Man, but then coming back and feeling like, oh, now I don't have that community here. But then what if you go and look for it? You'd be surprised, right? How many, or even cultivate it yourself. And
Well,
so,
yeah, exactly. When I moved home, there was mom got sick, and I did the Ewan Ree thing, and that was all, and K-Cat with Jean, and that was all in Callan. And that was amazing. It was an amazing settling back in. But there was also the grief of watching my mother be taken by the disease, and then her death and the grief thereafter. And then in 2011, I went back to San Francisco, and around the end of August, I couldn't afford to go to Burning Man, but I said, if I can't go to Burning Man, I am going to go and help you build things and see everybody when they're in the fever of preparing. And when I was there, my friends gifted me a ticket, $1,200, and a free ride. And I was blown away by their generosity. And sure, I skipped off to Burning Man. I was told I wasn't allowed to work. I was just to enjoy myself. I did a few bits, but I had a great time. And when I came back from that trip after about a month or so, I realized that I was kind of miserable at home, that I hadn't. Jean was the only real person and Emma, there was maybe 3 or 4, but it was still, what was happening in Callan was amazing, but there was still the other side that was not for me. And I needed to find my tribe where I could go away from Callan and completely be myself. Like when I would do the things in Callan, you'd get a lot of people going, oh, what has she done with herself? And I didn't appreciate that. I'm a nice person. I'm having fun. I'm creative. Like, get over yourself. So I looked up the Irish burner community, and I had met a guy at Burning Man in 2011. I met him for about 10 minutes. And then I went to DCOM. I met him again. He had no recollection. And then I met him again on New Year's and said, oh my God, you're a burner. I know you don't remember me, but we've met 3 times now. Can you please tell me if there's anything burner happening in Ireland? I'm an artist. I'll help you build stages, do your decor, whatever. Please, here's my number. And his name was Diarmuid, and he rang me and said that they were making a dome for a festival called No Place Like Dome. Would I like to do the decor? And I said I would. So he said, we're having a build weekend, and I went to the build weekend, and my husband Paul was there, and his best friend Johnny, and Diarmuid, and just that was in 2012, and that was the catalyst to meeting. That summer was when I met all of my dear friends, not all of them, but like that risk that I took, getting into the car, going to meet this group of people. They could have been, weirdos, but they weren't. They were all nice and sound and creative. And then at that festival, I met Elaine and Gary, and just that summer we kind of gathered a little group, and we've all been friends since. But from the very beginning of our friendships, people were like, oh, how long do you know each other? You obviously know each other years. And we were like, no, we've only met a month ago, or but it was just something was bubbling in 2012. And yeah, so that's when I found my tribe, and I really started to settle in to being at home. Yeah.
beautiful. I'm curious, you spoke a little bit about what's ahead with this show coming up, and then also Marina asked about the circles, the women's circles. And I recall you talking about even linking up with the vision train at some point, maybe with some of the circles that you may facilitate online.
Yep.
or and in person. I've always felt, we're all over the world, gathering on our space station here. But then when we jump off the space station and tend to our, to the land that we're living in and the people that are around us, I consider they're train stations that we're building, and you actually live in one. It's kind of so interesting to listen to your story in depth more, because we had a little window of this when we were at COSM together. You shared a little bit about your artist story, but the expanded artist story is your life, right? Like, in all the different mediums that you've incorporated to bring you to kind of where you are, and to have this, I think, just to have the recollection, the story, to be like, yeah, and I wanted to go and they needed this. So I was like, I'll do it, but you need to teach me. That approach, just alone, that little nugget. So we could all learn from that. Like, I think it's something, so often we think we already need to know, we already need to be prepared. And so often the curiosity, which happens to be like the theme of Burning Man this year, it's like curiouser and curiouser or something. But to have that genuine curiosity and to ask, and life does, life responds, and even if you come up against a no sometimes, so often there will be like a yes,
My mother, the one thing that the teaching that I remember and I took to heart and I run with it is always ask. Because more often than not, they might say no, but more often than not, people will say yes. And I found over the years that it's true. People are willing to help if you ask. And obviously that's reciprocated then. It's not a one-way thing. You have to reciprocate and I just thought when you were talking there about taking opportunities, I'm just going to throw it out there. I have a Guinness Book of Record certificate as well, because I took a chance one day. There was an event called the skinny, what was it called? Oh, a nip in the dip, or a dip in the nip. And it was to raise funds for Aveen's Pink Tie. It's a children's cancer charity. And they wanted as many women to come and go for skinny dipping, and 2,555 women showed up, got in the nip and ran into the sea. You had to be under the water, hip height, for 5 minutes, and we did it. So I have a Guinness Book of Records just because I saw something that's different, and I'm like, do you know what? That's a life experience. I want a Guinness Book of Records certificate, so I'm going to go and do it. Like, just telling my husband, he's like, what are you doing this weekend? And I'm doing this. And he's like,
Yeah, if you don't take a risk sometimes, that some great things won't happen. I mean, risks are filled with peril. So what is it that where are the challenges? What is it that you've had to overcome in life?
Where are the what?
The challenges. What do you battle with on or do you battle with anything? Is there anything that you feel is something that you have had to overcome or continuously do? As you seem so courageous and so brave. I mean, I know you had butterflies before we jumped on here, but
I'm still human. Like, I have my ups and downs. Like, it's normal. I cry a lot. I have days, usually 1 or 2 a month, where I'm really sad. I'm struggling right now with watching what's happening in Palestine. Like, it's really infected me. And, I feel things. I feel them in my heart, and it's a struggle to push through. But I allow, when I'm sad, I allow myself to be sad because it's okay. I allow myself to cry. And, I have a really supportive husband that if I need time on my own. I struggle with being, as I'm a gatherer of people, I also struggle with being around people all the time. So there's this, like, there's a very much an introvert. And sometimes when I've organized a gathering, you know, the day before, the morning before, I'm like, oh my God, what have you done? Why did you do this? And I just get really nervous. And the introvert tries to like push through. And then I have to push through with that introverted side of me, and then it'll be fine. On a daily basis, like, I don't have a lot of struggles. I'm very blessed. You know, financially, we could do a little bit better. But when you look at what's happening in the world and what other people have, I have so much. And, you know, I miss my mom. I struggle with friends getting sick, but just the normal things like that. I've been very lucky. I've never had to overcome an awful lot of hardship. I'm, you know, um, yeah, but I am very emotional. And I'm going through the menopause right now, so that's a thing too. So yeah.
Well, it's encouraging to hear your words, and encouraging to hear, you know, the a little bit of like what goes on behind the scenes, you know, even, you know, that you are emotional, as we all are, but so many of us, or so many feel, you know, we have to suppress our emotions, you know, or we have to find new ways to express them, or places to feel safe in expressing them. And I think that's yeah, something that will ripple out into all our spheres of our lives. You know, when we find that. And so community is so important. And I know that like having some kind of practice of going into nature, and, you know, even you have a practice with the drum, you have a practice with also a community that you've built. And yeah.
I worry as well about raising Katie to be a strong woman. Like she's an only child, you know, and that she'll be okay as she goes through her life. That kind of plays on me sometimes too, that she is an only child. But she's a strong and feisty little one so far, but she's also very sensitive. So I kind of sometimes go through that. And am I a good enough parent? But sure, I am. I know I am. But, you know, I think every parent worries about that. Yeah, I don't know. A good cry is a tonic. It really is.
Really is. And so is jumping in a cold river, or in, you
Oh,
know,
yeah. Sea swims, nature.
yeah. As we're going through the waves of life, you know, there's something that Joe Bob recently said. He's like, you know, you can chart the landscape of, you know, and approximately know where this tree is, or this house or road and all of that. But if you try to chart a topographical chart of the surface of the ocean, I mean, it's always moving, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Truthful, as much as we can plan ahead and look at, like, you know, our lives and our weeks ahead, months ahead, we have to be ready to ride the waves that are we can't actually predict what's going to happen. So
yeah
yeah,
exactly. Thank
yeah.
you.
Well, it's been such an honor to step into your world today, and I'm curious if there's any questions from the community that are here with us. And Marina, if you want to lead on.
Yeah. Yes, we want to open the floor for everyone that's here that wants to ask something for Sannie or have some comments. You can raise your hand or open your mic. The floor is open. If anyone wants to give a participation.
It's been lovely to hear more about your story, Sannie, and um, I'm really inspired by your connection with the land. And my husband and I are hoping to visit Ireland someday, so it would be great to suck up some of that magic.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm wondering some of the passion or some of the things that you're affected by. Like, do you find that that shows up in your work? Or like, are there things that you're excited about wanting to develop in your work?
You know, sometimes I worry that, not even worry, it's not a worry, that I don't have one consistent style. And that to me kind of, say, in regards to, if you look at Amanda, you like Amanda's work, you're like, oh God, that's Amanda Sage. If you look at Alex Gray, that's I trip between different styles all the time, but at the essence of them all is magic and intention. And I create intuitively. So I don't really plan a lot of what I do, which is sometimes to my own detriment, to be honest. But yeah, I think community and plants, nature, and setting intentions, the mandalas, it's all magic, it's all love, and yeah. I think it's all definitely based on my shamanic practices, and sometimes they may not look like it, but they 100% are. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And sure, when you come to Ireland, hit me up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, I've been in other workshops where they talk about doing that intentionally. Like, if you're setting an intention for a piece, then you can do that as a spell itself.
Yeah.
It seems like there's
Exactly.
a lot of fun potential in that sort of thing.
Yeah, there is. That's what I do. Yeah. Intentions, spells, prayer, mantra. It's all the same, I feel,
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Serena.
I want to add in there gift, because I feel like that is a major part of what is I feel is reflected back to me through what you do.
Thank you.
Your work is focused around a kind of gift and acknowledging the gift of community, acknowledging the gift of ritual, acknowledging the gift of what it is to be a woman. And I see that reflected through all your art, and you approach it that way too. So it's like, especially with the Burning Man community, of being about so much about the gift, right? And that's something that's become so ingrained in you that you just automatically do it. And I think interesting when we approach life that way, instead of what are we going to get out of it?
Yeah.
What are we going to give into it? And then it overflows in ever-giving gift. So
yeah. Thank you. That's so lovely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anyone wants to have questions, Sannie? Ask something for her. You can open your mic or raise your hand.
Hi, this is Masha. Hi, Sannie.
Hi, Masha.
It's so good to hear your story. Oh my God, it just blew my mind. You're such an amazing woman, and giving so much to the community and to the world. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it's a gift to know you more, and I connect with you on so many levels. And I wonder, I have a question. I built that shamanic sculpture for Burning Man this year. And I wonder, maybe we can get together sometime, maybe next Monday. You can give me some ideas or suggestions, how to do some kind of ceremonies there, or, and another question I have, can I come to one of your workshops, or gatherings, so to learn from you in that way, and shamanic spiritual ways. circle of women.
Oh, absolutely. I would love yes to both of those questions.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm free next Monday if you want to have a little Zoom. For sure.
yeah.
I'd love to see your sculpture and hear about it and what your intentions are and help you come up with something to do at the burn that would be so special. And in regards to my workshops, I'm not doing a lot online now, but I am something is percolating up here for online, but in person for sure as well. Online, would love that. Yeah. Where are you
I'm
again,
open
workshop?
even, I'm traveling the globe right now. I don't
Oh,
have a home. I'm just traveler at this
cool.
moment. So I was wondering if I can come in person.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Okay,
cool?
well,
Yes,
mhm.
absolutely. Let's chat.
Okay, next Monday. Thank
Excellent.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. That's exciting.
Hello.
Hi,
It's been a long
Moondragon.
time since I've talked to you,
It has. How are you?
but I want to say thank you for being one of the people that helped other people stay on this planet
Oh,
during that horrible lockdown and all the stuff that was going on. You showed up magically out of the universe for me
thank you.
and gave me a place to lock down to, no matter how inconsistent it was. For me, it was consistent for you. I was the inconsistency, but this place that was created, whether it was you, whether it was Jeep, whoever was there,
Mm,
kept me on this planet because it gave me a place to outlet and to connect and feel that no matter where I was, what I was doing, that other people in this world understood things on the same kind of frequency. That I just want to thank you so much for that. The other thing is that if you ever do a light language based installation, I would like to come and work on that with you because that's the stuff that comes out of me and it doesn't make sense to most people, but it does to me. And I just want to do something on an enormous scale that I've never experienced before.
wow. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'm so glad that you're here and I'm so glad that you stayed on this planet and that we met on the train and I'm so glad that you kept coming to the train. Even if it was inconsistent, you made that happen, you know? So I'm honored. Thank you so much for saying
I've
that.
logged into zero guests a million times, but then there's been those times when I logged in IG, and I've logged in and had unbelievable conversations with one person
Mm,
or two people, or there was a small, very small group that just happened to randomly pod in, like two people started would be sitting there and one person had come in and then it'd swell up and it'd swell down.
yeah.
But it was always just harmony. There's something harmonizing about this space, no matter what it is that any individual has going on. It's a harmonizing space. And I want to thank you so much for being a part of what held that glue together, because without that, yeah, I think it would have been a different experience for me.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for sharing that with me. My heart is full hearing it, and I'm so glad that we met and got to spend some time together. Let's think about that installation.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Moondragon. It's really emotive to say this because each of us that are here online, we have a connection that can go back to 4 years ago, and it's virtual. But even though it's virtual, it feels so real. It changes our life, it changes our day, it changes our mood, it changes everything. And it is this harmonic feeling that we all feel attracted to, logging in this Zoom space and connecting with completely different people from all over the globe, and still having this harmonic feeling and still having these synchronicities that we all share. And this is one of the things why I wanted even to put myself in the spotlight, for putting everyone in the spotlight, because it is precious to hear these connections and to cultivate these connections that we can, the way that we can, be it in real person, be it in virtual world, however we can. It fills us up. And yeah, I'm truly humbled to know more about you, Sannie. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, everyone here. Is there anyone here in the room that wants to share anything?
Thanks, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to go down memory lane and share that with you all. It's just been so special. And I will be forever indebted to Amanda for starting this space. And thank you, Marina, for encouraging me to be the artist in focus this month.
Yeah, I appreciate
so
it.
good. Yeah.
I have one last question. Well, if anyone else doesn't have, I have one. Well, since I started following this cultural movement of visionary artists, and the way that we put our visions into the canvas, and bringing this beauty in the world, and learning new techniques, studying, investing in us. And you just went to New York last year to study with Amanda and Joe Bob in Cosm. I cannot imagine how was this feeling. So I want to know a little bit more in detail. How was this, the way that you decide to go? Like, when did you decide to go? How was the feeling that you got when you were accepted? When you bought the ticket, when you were there, and also like when you got back, what was this transformation like?
I decided to go when Amanda let slip one day. She was on the vision train that she was going to be teaching at COSM in October. And I may have harassed her a little bit for dates before, I was like, can you tell me when the dates are? I'm going to try and make it happen. I had no money, not much, and I had no business applying because I had no money. But I just knew I needed to get there. I really wanted to be part of the first cohort and her, the first re-emerge in person, the first after COVID, and her first immersive. Because I'd had a dream about COSM and Entheon in November 2019, and I met Alex Gray in the dream, and I'm not going to go into details online, but it was very profound, and I really I was there. I don't think it was a dream. It was a lucid, whatever. So to get there, to study with Amanda in person, to be at Entheon, to meet Alex Gray, it was all culminating in like making my heart's desire come true. So when I got there, to get there, I did a raffle online, and I had 3 or 4 prizes. One one of a kind mandala and several prints, and I made nearly $2,000 in a raffle to get there. It paid for the flights, it paid for the course at COSM, and then I got spending money. When I got to New York, it was a long journey. I was traveling on my own. I had never traveled on my own. I was exhausted. I was sitting on a bus. I was tired. I was trying to stop myself from crying because I was so tired. I'm like, oh my God, stop crying. Like, this is a dream. Why are you crying? Why are you sad? Like, it was just intense. It was just all happening. And I got to COSM, and the first people I met were Rosie, Shara, Nico, Akemi, and who else was there? Was there 5? And big hugs straight off the boat. Like, and I was like, oh my God, we're here. It's Ention in the background, Vision Friends in the front. And then I walked inside and Amanda was there. And it's like, oh my God, you know. And if it had been 3 years ago, it might have been fangirl moment, but like it wasn't. I was meeting my friend. You know, it was like I'm actually meeting my friends here. Like there was no like she's up here. She's like she's my friend. So there was that. And being in studio with 18 other visionary artists was so inspiring and humbling. And you know, I went through an emotional up and down because it was the portraits were from a mirror, so I was staring at into my own eyes, into my soul for the week. And I had just lost my friend Barbara, and she was cremated the day before I left, so there was that. So I was you know, I was going through these really happy, elated, exciting feelings, but then grief and would hit. And then I was missing my partner, my husband, and my daughter. And on Wednesday, I hit a wall. And Amanda was given a presentation in the morning, and I was sitting in front of her, facing the screen, and all I was doing was trying to stop myself from crying. Just that was very intense energies. So at lunchtime, I went and I did a shamanic journey at a tree, and I called in my guides, and I went inside, and then I shared with everybody that I was struggling, and that kind of seemed to allow others, or then others started to say, oh, me too. Oh, you know, and we were all going through certain things. So yeah, it was a trip. It was a trip. You know, seeing the paintings that, you know, I see of Amanda's online, and being able to stand up close and see how she does it in person and like really sit and look was just, it was an experience I'll never forget, ever. And I'm inspired to do it once, or, you know, every couple of years. I want to give myself that gift of sitting with international visionary artist somewhere in the world. I'd love to go back to COSM to be in with, you know, Alex and Alison are doing their immersive this week. I'd love to do that, you know, and give myself that gift. It was a joy. It was, yeah, I just, I don't have the words, really. I know I've said a lot of words, but I don't actually have the words that really capture how I felt. Yeah.
It was definitely a roller coaster. I think, and these the best journeys in some ways are because they let us dive into those depths and uncover things we didn't even realize were there. And but to be held in a container, and that's like the most important. And I surrender a lot during that time. I mean, I remember you going through it and being like, what am I even doing here? Like, how is this even, you know, it's like all the expectation too, right?
Yeah.
And then being able to at some point like release that pressure and then allow what else wants to come in. And I'm so grateful to
you see, as well, in that container, and I was there for what, it was 5 days of like, you know, intensity, 5-6 days. And on the Wednesday also, when I hit that wall, I was having a creative block. And if I had been at home, I would have walked away from the painting for a month, a year, you know, and ignored it and come back to it. But you didn't have that there. You had to push through it. And I learned so much. I shared a room with Shara, whereas if I was to do it again, I wouldn't share a room. I'd need, and we got on really well. That's not the issue. It was just my own needing time on my own to process. And yeah, there was no, like, it was 10 a.m. to 10 p.m, 11, 12 at night, just painting in session with everyone. And it was so powerful and so wonderful. And it was crazy and it was fun and it was teary and it was so much learning, so much. And I'm so grateful to Amanda and Joe Bob for their safe holding of that space. You know, I
Yeah.
highly recommend it.
Well,
Give yourself a treat. Go do it.
on that note, we've been doing this in October since, over a decade. And that was the first one last year since COVID, I think, in person. And we'll be doing it again this year. We're about to open that application. So in case everybody wants to tap into that. Yeah. On that note too, Nina has asked actually a couple times in the chat. She's like, Sannie, is there a link to your women's retreats? Like,
I do not have a link to my women's retreats. People can reach out to me on my website, which is sannie.ie, www.sannie.ie. That's SANNIE. And I've been doing the retreats and stuff in private, and so it's kind of word of mouth because I do them here at my home, and so I don't put it out to the world, but if it resonates with you, please get in contact with me and I'd be happy to answer any questions or give you more information. Going forward, I met a woman who I may be hosting at her house in future because she has gatherings there. She rents out her home, which is close to here, but yeah, we'll see. Thanks for asking, Nina. I'm very bad at promoting that aspect because it is very much word of mouth. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing, Sannie.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you for answering this question that, well, you expressed a lot, for sure. Like the true feeling, it's only living, but well, you express a lot how much is valuable to be together with a group of international artists in real life, creating art more than 12 hours per day for 5-6 days in a week. Yeah. How transformative this experience can be. And all of that you shared today, thank you so much for putting together this presentation and bringing it to this moment, the vision train focus. Yes, I deeply appreciate. Thank you, Amanda, as well, for co-hosting and engineering this live stream so everyone can be a part of. And well, we will have a new vision training focus schedule for the end of August or the beginning of September. We have Joe Phillips as guest. He has been invited and he accepted. And this will be the next one. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, there is already 2 other editions of Vision Training Focus. You can check it out. We had Molly and we have the Vision Train as guests with Amanda, Joe Bob, and Alicia Sacred Heart. And it's all available for whenever you want to check it out. Sannie Cuddihy, right?
Cuddihy, yeah.
Yeah. So Sannie has Instagram and also a website that you can connect with her. And it's available as well. Her links are so you can check some posts there on the Vision Train page, because Sannie is a host here. She hosts a trip here on the train every Monday. It's called Mellow Monday, right, Sannie?
Yep. I just play chill tunes and we get in the flow to start the week.
Yay. So if you are watching this, come to the Vision Train. You just log on the Instagram page, or as well on the website of the Vision Train. There is a link to go on board, and you can be here with us and connect with artists from all over the world and be a part of this culture creating movement that we have here. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Marina. Choo choo.